she said, oh, she made that noise. She went, oh, all right, but she said, I'm not getting up and down so you can go to the toilet.
You are listening to the Why Smart Women podcast, the podcast that helps smart women work out why we repeatedly make the wrong decisions and how to make better ones. From relationships, career choices, finances, to faux fur jackets and kale smoothies. Every moment of every day, we're making decisions. Let's make them good ones. I'm your host, Annie McCubbin, and as a woman of a certain age, I've made my own share of really bad decisions. Not my husband, I don't mean him, though I did go through some shockers to find him. And I wish this podcast had been around to save me from myself. This podcast will give you insights into the working of your own brain, which will blow your mind. I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I'm recording, and you are listening on this day. Always was, always will be, Aboriginal land.
Well, hello, smart women. This is David here. Sorry to disappoint. No, actually, don't be disappointed, because you will be hearing from Annie today. She's not on the northern beaches of Sydney. She's actually over in Bali. And if you told me a few years ago that this would be Annie's second trip to Bali in 2 years, I would not have taken you seriously, because Annie McCubbin and Bali aren't, generally speaking, a nice, neat combination. But there she is. She's got her reasons. We're going to find out why she's there, what she's doing, and what she's been experiencing along the way. Annie, are you there?
Hello, I'm here.
Oh, hello.
I'm here in beautiful, sunny, amazing Bali. There's been a massive surf here. I was concerned at one point that maybe there was going to be a tsunami because it was so big it sort of washed up into the pool on the resort. But so far, so good. It's very, very beautiful. And do you want to know what I'm doing here? You do know what I'm doing here, but I'll tell the listeners.
I know. Well, I know generally what you're doing there. I mean, why do Australians go to Bali? To drink lots of alcohol and party on. That's
hang on.
What?
I'm not here drinking lots. I'm here with my gym. So it is true. I am drinking.
That's gymnasium.
Substantial amount. Sorry.
That's your gymnasium. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
I know.
So
I know that you've got a bit of a thing for gym charmers, and I think if there's anyone that you were ever going to run away with to Bali, it would probably be Jim Chalmers. But you're not there with that Jim. You're there with the your gym buddies.
I see. No, I'm not here with the Treasurer of Australia. No, confused me then.
Yeah.
I'm here with my gym friends. There's about 30 of us, and we're having a really lovely time. And we get up in the morning and we do run around in the extreme tropical heat and exercise. And I'm in a room with my own little pool. And then we have a swim, and then we have breakfast, and then we do yoga or a bit more exercise, and then we hang around. And I'm busily writing my book. And my next book, and which I've just sent a bit to you, and you can look at it. Thanks very much. And then in the evening we eat food and drink wine, and it's very good.
Annie, let me just reassure you. Before we hear all about Bali and your experience so far, the dogs are fine. I took them for a nice walk this morning.
Oh, that's very, very glad to hear that.
And it was very, very nice. Now,
give them a big pat from me.
I will give them a big pat. I will give them.
And I'll tell you what's interesting is that I have been reading and listening to a podcast on Stoicism.
Stoicism.
And the notion of, what can you control, what can't you control, and the misery comes from getting those two things confused, right?
The what?
And sorry, what?
The what comes from having those things confused?
The misery comes.
The misery. Oh, people who are miserable on holidays.
Yeah, because things occur, right? And that things are not going to be perfect. Nothing is ever perfect. We know this, right?
That's right.
But if there is an anticipation that you are going to be able to control your environment all the time, control other people, control the environment, I can hear Ryder barking.
Oh, no,
then
that was
I think that was Yo-Yo. I think there's going to be a lot of unhappiness. So a couple of things have happened. One is I got on the plane with my buddy Kath, and got onto the aeroplane, and there was someone sitting in the middle seat of the row. It's fine.
All right.
And we sort of approached.
So
Huh?
you and Kat had A and C, and somebody else was in B. Is that right?
Correct, that sort of thing. So we approached the row, and
Yeah.
Kat said, "Oh, is it okay if we sit down?" Anyway, she was immediately furious.
Oh, Mrs. B, the lady
Yes,
in seat number B was furious. Let's call her Mrs. B, shall we?
Mrs. B was immediately furious. I don't know why she was furious, but I think something about having to stand up and move and allow us to sit down made her very angry. And then Cass said, "Would it be okay? Do you want to sit on the end?" And then Annie can sit in the middle, and then because we're friends. Anyway, she said, "Oh," she made that noise. She went, "Oh, all right," but she said, "I'm not getting up and down so you can go to the toilet."
Right.
She said once I think would be enough on a trip of 6 hours. So she was just incredibly.
She gave you a wee quota.
She gave us a wee quota. Yeah. Anyway,
Why didn't you put her in A?
we put her on the aisle. She didn't
okay.
want to go into A. I don't know. But anyway, so then Kath and I sat there, and she was like, so I'm in the middle, and I've got Kath on my right, and I've got her on my left, and she was just a seething mass of sort of resentment and unhappiness. And so Kath looked at me and said, "She's dead to me. I'm having nothing more to do with her." But I did think to myself, I don't want to sit next to a seething mass of fury for the next 6 hours, 6.5 hours. So I made it my mission to turn her into my best friend.
You warmed her up.
Which I managed to do over the
done.
next 6 hours. Thank you. Thank you. I asked her questions. I validated her. I showed interest. I was kind. And I did say, she, interestingly enough, if she ever listens to this, she owns a mini goat farm. And she takes mini goats, like that, onto weddings and children's parties. Yeah. Yeah.
Gee.
And so she said, "Oh, mini goats are amazing and the farm's amazing, and, and the goats all have names." And she said, "I've always wanted to write a children's book." And I said, "Well, you should write a children's book. That would be a really great thing to do, 100 words a day." So the next thing I know, she's got a pad and pencil out, and she's madly writing this book. And at the end of it, she said, "Right, give me your name." And she said, "When I finish the book, you'll be the first to know." So I actually turned to her, made the effort, and she was fine. But it's like Kat said, you can take the people out of Australia, but you can't. The entitlement stays with them. The entitlement that you're going to be able to control the environment and it's going to be the way that you want is just such a recipe for misery, right?
Yeah. I mean, particularly if you're going to be involved in air travel, I never travel without expecting some kind of delay or some kind of hiccup, and I think that just helps me feel utterly fortunate when things do go according to plan. I mean, if you think about it,
that's right.
If you think about
that's right.
You get into a big armchair in a big silver tube, and it flies through the sky, and you get from Australia to Bali in a matter of hours.
I know, it's astonishing. How do we take that for granted? Right? I know.
So that's hedonic adaptation, isn't it? You've talked about that before.
Absolutely. Yeah, as soon as something good happens, you want it. Imagine being able to get on an aeroplane, imagine that, and fly somewhere and then arrive, and you didn't have to drive a car and you didn't have to get in a boat, and isn't that just astonishing? And then you do it, and as soon as you've done it, you're like, "Yep, I've done that." So you just adapt. It's why the pursuit of happiness is not such a great idea. And certainly the notion of very, very high expectations is also not a good idea. Like, keep your expectations low and be pleasantly surprised when things go well. And the thing about the Stoicism, which I find super interesting, because I, as you know, have no spiritual belief. So I don't think anything happens for a reason. I don't think there's a universe. I don't think there's a God. I just think we're just out there being tossed about, by circumstances, really. But I read this thing about what you do is, let's just say, you get to the airport, and then the plane is 3 hours late, and this has happened regularly to us, right?
Yep.
And the plane is 3 hours late. So then you go, the stoic gods have set me a task, and the task is to approach this delay with equanimity, and I'm just going to roll with it. And there it is, the plane's late, and here I am. And that is an extraordinary, it changes your mindset immediately.
Even though,
and the other,
though you know that there aren't any stoic gods?
Yes, even though I know there's no stoic gods.
So it doesn't matter that the story is made up?
It doesn't matter, which is interesting, right? It doesn't actually matter. It's an interesting question you've asked me. Thank you, that's right. So whether or not you're going, the universe has sent this to me to test me, which a lot of people believe, or God has sent this to test me. Yep. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it's just the notion of that, and then the mindset around it that helps with the response. Maybe that's right. Maybe it just settles down the whole arousal thing, because of course otherwise you just spend your life in this sort of state of arousal, right?
Yeah, and we know people who live in almost a constant state of outrage, and it sounds like the goat lady probably tended in that direction. So it's almost like this is a placebo narrative. It's not, it's
a placebo narrative. It's so good. Yeah, it is. And the other instance was, so we're all in these little villas, sort of along at the resort that look out over the beach, and we all have a little pool in front of us, right? Our own little pool. Mm-hmm. And anyway, so I'm with people. As you know, there's a level of exuberance. Everyone's exercising all the time. So everyone's pretty up and happy. And there was my friends made a bit of noise at 4:00 in the afternoon in the pool. And the neighbour in one of the little neighbouring villas came out in a state of apoplexy, saying they'd woken up her 4-year-old. And my friend was like, "I'm so sorry, I hadn't realised she was asleep." But it didn't stop there. She then rang the desk, and then they rang them and said there's been a noise complaint. And everybody kept saying sorry until someone said, "Hang on, it's 4:00 in the afternoon. We are actually on holidays." Mm-hmm. So, and then the same thing happened the next night, when they had drinks in their apartment at 8:00, and the same thing happened. She said her children were trying to go to sleep, and then she rang the desk, and then there was constant sort of ringing saying, "Got to keep the noise down." And of course, it's exactly the same. It's the same, right? Which is, I'm in this environment. This environment is not behaving the way I want the environment to behave. So I'm going to try and alter the environment by using my will. And of course, it doesn't work, right?
It's a recipe for disappointment.
Because it's a recipe for disappointment. Also, it's not great role modeling for your children, right?
No.
It's like, if something's not right, what you do is complain and try and change it, as opposed to going, so what could she have done? She's in the room, there's noise. So what's the alternative to trying to shut down the noise? And of course, she was angry and she was very upset then again. So she's then got this internal state of sort of rage, disappointment, and powerlessness. And I think that's the thing, right? How powerless must she have felt not to be able to control the environment when she wants her children to go to sleep? Now, also, if you look at it from the other side, we think she's a single mother, right? So she would be under stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she spent all this money. She managed to get the children here on the plane, and that probably would have been a complete nightmare. She's finally got to the resort. She's settling down, and then the children are woken up.
The children are woken up. So if you look at it from her perspective, it's also, it's an understandable response, but not a response that's going to get her the outcome that she wants. Right. And if you extrapolate that out, how much of our lives do we spend trying to change things, alter things, alter the environment, right? Fight things, fight against things to get what we want, and how much of that is wasted energy?
Yeah.
Because you certainly can. You can look at it from her perspective and go, yeah, I get that. And one of the more sort of measured members swam over to her and said, look, we totally get it. We totally get it. You are trying to get your kids, but it's only 8 o'clock at night. It's not like midnight. And we've also paid for our rooms, and we're, if we could maybe try and strike a balance here, we'll stop at maybe 8:30 anyway. Nothing came of it. There was just no moving it. And then today she was screaming at the top of her lungs at the staff because they weren't moving her bags quickly. So, you can see someone who's, probably in a bit of emotional trouble there. She's off balance, probably needs a bit of help. But of course, the general public are disinclined to make room for that, right? Because everyone's got their own stuff going on, and they're like, I finally got here. This is the other people in our group. They've all got stuff going on as well. So their needs and their reality meets her needs and her reality, right? It's like they're disinclined because they're like, well, we want to have a holiday. We've had a big year. People have had all sorts of stuff going on. So it's this, it's just really, really interesting when you look at it and you sort of pan back and look at it, how much of this sort of behaviour creates drama. Yeah.
And I think is what you're suggesting that people can actually, let's see, the ladies that you were talking about, probably both of them are, a bit off balance, a bit under stress. They're probably not at their best. But when we are at our best or close to our best, then we have got an opportunity to, what is it? Do we reframe? Do we reset our expectations? What is the alternative choice that you think is reasonable and realistic?
Well, I think the first thing we have to do, if you find yourself in a situation where you can feel the internal temperature rising, right? Because something's not going right. So the first thing you have to do, because we are so reactive, aren't we?
Yep.
Is slow everything down.
Yeah.
Just slow everything down. Take a breath, do nothing. Because the only chance you have of reacting or responding differently is if you slow everything down. So that's the first thing. And then, it's just a really, really good question to ask yourself, I think, is what can I control here and what can't I control? Because we're not suggesting that we turn into doormats where we just passively walk through life just taking whatever backhand is handed to us. We're not suggesting that for a minute. And boundaries, of course, are super important, aren't they?
Yeah.
Being able to say, no, I'm not wearing that, or yes, I am wearing that, or whatever. But if there's no control, if you cannot, like for instance, with a late plane, with a perfect example, with a late plane, or you're sitting in a chair and two people are approaching and you have to stand and let them sit. Now, what are you going to do? What's your options? You can sit in the seat. You can say climb over. Or, with a late plane, what's your options? Can you control the airline? Yep. No. Can you control the person you don't know next to you? You can control, which is what I did with her, is I controlled my response, but I made an absolute conscious effort.
Yeah.
And what I did was with her, I turned it into a stoic God moment of I was hoping to get some stoic God points, that the stoic gods would look down at me and go, you did really well, you converted her, and she got off the plane feeling better than when she got on, right?
Yeah.
But again, it depends on the amount of energy that you have, I notice myself, I can be tolerant, and as the day goes on, my tolerance level just drops, right?
Yeah. And the thing about international travel is that it by its very nature, it does sometimes lead people to be, tired, a bit depleted, and having to solve problems with other people.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right.
Hey, look, as you're talking about this, I mean, can I share a story about the, I guess, the inverse, the positive side of it?
Sure, please do.
When people do behave magnificently. Look, this is being recorded during the week after the March for Humanity across the Harbour Bridge in Sydney.
Oh yeah, yeah.
In support of the Palestinian people, and I wanted to go along. I wanted to just have a physical presence there, to be part of the group saying we don't accept that what is happening in Gaza at the moment is necessary to be so so punitive and careless with the lives of the Palestinians who are not Hamas. Look, I won't state anything with certainty, because I know that I don't know so much about what's going on there. But this was a day when we wanted to say to our government, there are a lot of people here who care about what is going on deeply enough to just make our presence felt. So I had a couple of other friends who were going, and we'd sort of communicated, and we'd sort of meet up. When I got to the Chatswood station, the metro wasn't running, so I took the train into Wynyard. So I got there quite a bit later than I was expecting, and right from Wynyard there was an absolute crush. There were tens of thousands of people, and
I wouldn't have liked that.
You wouldn't have liked that, being in a crowd. But look, I tried to make my way to where I knew where some of my friends were waiting, and I travelled out into the street. But it got to the stage where the streets were just completely deadlocked. The march was due to start at a certain time after some speeches. There was absolutely no way that I or any of the thousands of people that I was surrounded by could make any progress whatsoever. And I probably stood in the rain amongst the other people for more than an hour before we started moving off. So some might say that was imperfect. I do know that the authorities were terribly worried that there were going to be crowd crushes and that people were going to get hurt, and that's their job. That's their job to take those risks,
of course.
Very, very seriously, and do what they can both before and during the event in order to keep people safe. But that was very much. You could say that was an imperfect situation, that there were so many people crowded into the centre of the city. Through another lens, how fantastic was it that so many people turned up? I mean, if a couple of thousand people had have turned up, then there wouldn't have been any trouble with crowd control. But because this was an issue that mattered to so
both
many
things.
people.
Yeah.
And I know that the number ranges between 90 to, I think, the highest numbers in terms of the estimates were like 300,000 people.
Yeah,
whatever
are saying
it was,
300,000. Yeah.
Whatever it was a huge number of people. There were the really hardened Palestinian Action Group protesters, and across the crowd there were people leading chants, free Palestine, free Palestine, and some of the chants were easy to chant. Some of them were a little bit aggressive. I do know that there were signs that I couldn't read, and
I just want to say at this point that we're very clear, David and I, that saying we're unhappy about what is happening in Gaza is nothing to do with us being anti-Semitic. It's a different issue. I just want to really, really clarify that for listeners. I am Jewish. So it is not that we're anti-Semitic. We're just very, very unhappy about the treatment. We know it's complex, but we're very unhappy about the treatment of the civilians.
That's right.
And specifically the children. Yeah, keep going.
That's
Sorry.
right. I mean, did you know that I was actually named after the King of the Jews?
Oh, David. Yeah, David.
Yeah, so
David. Yeah.
the purpose of the march was to send a
Yeah.
message to our government that this
Yeah.
mattered and that they should put pressure, government to government. So yes,
Absolutely.
it's not anti-Semitism.
Not at all. But it's interesting, right? But I just want to say that, of course, you look at that situation, and if hardly anybody had gone, then that's no problem for the police, which is better for the police. Like, everything's complex, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
we do understand that. But then a lot of people went, which is really, really good for the cause, but not so good for the police. Everything's complicated.
That's
And
right.
I think we are so determined to be reductive in our thinking and make things simple, and things are not simple.
Things are not simple.
Things are really complicated. I'm so glad you went to that march.
Look, I'm so glad I did as well, because I was able to experience firsthand a huge crowd of people for whom things were not going as easily as they possibly could have gone. We were crowded. It was raining. We had to stand for a long time, and then when the crowd started moving again, we couldn't move very, very quickly. And I got about 3/4 of the way across, and we were basically told to turn back because the exit from the northern side of the bridge was clogged, and again the authorities were trying to keep everybody safe. So we had to turn back, and so this was an experience where, I wasn't the only one who was thinking, the Stoic gods are here to test me. Let's just make the most of this. We had, possibly 100,000 people who cared about something very important, who still had the capacity to go, it's not perfect. I'm not getting, I don't get to get across to the other side of the bridge, but people were good-natured. And for me, it was terribly affirming, about the best in humanity. It's not just a few people. It is hundreds of thousands of people who can do this. Anyway, it was good to go and everybody behaved well.
And I think that's such an interesting point, because rather than asking, am I happy, right? All those people withstood whatever difficulties they were enduring, right? Because they were purposeful.
Yeah, I think everybody who was there appreciated the purpose of why we were there, that it was a peaceful protest, and it was a march for humanity. And yeah, my experience was that people behaved in an extremely humane way, despite the circumstances.
And I think that, that's right, because you're not nobody would have been worried or focused at that moment of, am I happy? Am I having a good time? Am I getting what I want? How can I change these circumstances? This is not working for me. It's raining. I'm cold. I want to sit down or whatever. Those things just get sort of subsumed. Is subsumed the right word? Because the purpose is so clear.
Yeah. I mean, it occurred to me that there are people in Gaza who are lining up for food. And they're in mortal danger. There are people who are being killed for lining up. We were just lining up to peacefully protest and go for a walk across the bridge. So our problems were nothing compared to the people that we were trying to support.
And did you, while you were actually doing it, did that occur to you?
Oh, it most certainly did.
Yeah.
It most certainly did. For a moment I imagined what it would be like being in a crowd pressing towards an aid van with a pot, trying to get, half a kilo of rice to feed my family, and then the person next to me gets killed by a bullet. That's the reality of what's going on over there. We have nothing to complain about.
That's right.
And
if we can, I mean, the sort of, if you think about it from a Stoical point of view, it's like the opposite of this notion of trying to manifest a good life by positive visualizations and affirmations. If every day you consider the notion of, a terrible life, what your life could be like, what, not to ruminate, but what if you lost your family? What if it was all gone? What that does, it throws it into bold relief, and then you can go, well, this is pretty good. Like, I'm on holidays at the moment. I'm still sick. I wish I wasn't sick. but this is where I am. This is what's happening. I'll just work around it.
Yeah.
And what I'm not doing is overlaying everything with some sort of, I'm not trying to be positive. It's different. I'm just being realistic about my circumstances. Yes, I'm sick, but I'm also in a 5-star resort,
Yep.
right? And I've just ordered myself a coffee, and that's gone very well. Yep. It's really good. It's really good. And I'm drinking a very, very nice Sauvignon Blanc. It's great. And I'm with people I really like,
What?
who like me.
You're drinking wine and coffee at the same time?
No, I'm drinking coffee now. Well, I've still got my weird rules, right?
Yes, you do. What is today? Wednesday?
So no, not that rule. Throwing that rule out. But, everyone else starts drinking at lunchtime and I won't start till 6 o'clock. I've still got that. I've still got that weird rule.
Very good.
But, I'm having nice coffees and my friends are funny and there's a lot of yelling and everyone keeps telling me how nice I look, and that's nice at my age. Because that's the other thing, you're around other people and you get different sort of feedbacks and it's fantastic.
Yep.
We're just pausing for a minute to hear a word from our sponsor.
The Why Smart Women podcast is brought to you by COUP, a boutique training, coaching and media production company. A COUP, spelt C-O-U-P, is a decisive act of leadership, and decisive leadership requires critical thinking. So well done you for investing time to think about your thinking. If your leadership or relationships would benefit from some grounded and creative support, if you want team training or a conference presentation, reach out for a confidential one-on-one conversation using the link in the description, or go to coup.co. So you've got a coffee coming?
Yes.
Yes, and then what's after that?
Then I'll be having my lunch, and I haven't got all day to spend on the phone to you. I'm trying to have a holiday.
Okay, all right. So let's wind this up then.
Wind it up. I'm going to go and make some people's lives a misery. I'll see what I can complain about. I might complain about the service. I might complain about the traffic. I'm just going to make a list and I'm going to start my complaining immediately.
All right. Well, send me a copy. There's
All right.
nothing makes me miss you more than the absence of you complaining about stuff. So
Okay, good.
All
right.
That should see me through to the end of the week.
Well, listen, love you, darling. Give Ryder and Yo-Yo a big pat. I do miss them.
And they miss you too.
Thank you, and I will talk soon. See ya.
Okay. Goodbye, Annie, and to everybody else. Thank you for joining in to the Why Smart Women podcast this week. Travel well, stay safe, slow things down, and till next time. Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to Why Smart Women with me, Annie McCubbin. I hope today's episode has ignited your curiosity and left you feeling inspired by my anti-motivational style. Join me next time as we continue to unravel the fascinating layers of our brains and develop ways to sort out the fact from the fiction and the over 6,000 thoughts we have in the course of every day. Remember, intelligence isn't enough. You can be as smart as paint, but it's not just about what you know, it's about how you think. And in all this talk of whether or not you can trust your gut, if you ever feel unsafe, whether it's in the street, at work, in a car park, in a bar, or in your own home, please respect that gut feeling. Staying safe needs to be our primary objective. We can build better lives, but we have to stay safe to do that. And don't forget to subscribe, rate and review the podcast and share it with your fellow smart women and allies. Together, we're hopefully reshaping the narrative around women and making better decisions. So until next time, stay sharp, stay savvy, and keep your critical thinking hat shiny. This is Annie McCubbin signing off from Why Smart Women. See you later. This episode was produced by Harrison Hess. It was executive produced and written by me, Annie McCubbin.